What's that?
It's a bachelor's sport court.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I said last night, we're nothing if not consistent. So.
Chris, just, having some meetings with players today, just what's kind of the vibe overall as guys are coming in for the last time, maybe getting out of town for a little while here?
Yeah, I mean, today's approach was super informal, very appreciative of their efforts, talked about, how has to be just a foundation. We can't expect that when we get back together in September that we're just going to pick up where we left off, because that's not how it works at all. Most importantly, we know what we've learned about ourselves and what we need to do to be better, and how those habits have to be ingrained early and carried out every single night so that they stand up when you need them most. And I think that's something that now resonates with the players, like when you're harping on it on a daily basis, but they haven't yet really paid the price for it. Like, those are just lessons that you learn. Do not touch that, it's hot type stuff. But yeah, and guys were in a good mood. I think there was a lot of what I really found interesting is nobody had any plans. Nobody had given much thought about what they're going to do now, which means that they were still completely locked in, still completely thought they were going to win, still completely thought we would be moving on to a Game 7 and beyond. So, so it's just give them a couple weeks to decompress from all that, and then we'll circle back around with, what it takes for them to be better individually to help us better collectively.
I think sometimes people outside of it might think that progress is automatically linear, that you take one step and the next one is.
No.
How do you expect the vibe, I guess, to change a little bit going into next season where, this one you were maybe surprised some people and exceeded expectations, and now going into next year where maybe there will be a little bit more of, hey, this is a playoff team now, this is what it should be? Yeah,
I think it goes back to the point about preparing in the right way. And that starts in the summer when we do start to go back to work individually. I think guys now have a feel that have played in the playoffs. The excitement, the fans, the competition, all that stuff, has whet their appetite to the point where they want more of it. But to your point, it's not going to just happen. We're going to have expectations, but we had always expected to be in the playoffs all season long. We talked about it a lot in film and in practice and what it would take to be there. Those were internal expectations. The external ones are ones that can oftentimes be more of an anchor. But then again, you have to define yourself by what you expect from yourself rather than what others do. But the Western Conference will be tougher. The Clippers will be healthy. Who knows what the Lakers are going to do? Denver should be healthier. So there's definitely teams that are going to be rising up. And then there's also those teams that, end up kind of puking on themselves, and we just can't be one of them. So
it seemed like, would you say from an all-season long standpoint, with all the success that you had, there weren't many games it seemed like where it was D'Lo and Cat all were kind of rolling. What was the process like of trying to find the right combination there? Do you think you ever got to a point where it was humming the way maybe you wanted it to?
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. Probably never ultimately maximized those three guys. I thought last year at the end of the season we did a better job of it. This year, for whatever reasons, we added another starter, Patrick as a starter. Vando, the starting lineup was a little bit different too. Patrick's play through the season kind of changed in a little bit in different ways. Early on he was very good off the ball, and then he kind of moved more towards having the ball and did a really good job there too, I thought, when he had the opportunity. So I think all those little dynamics add up, and then it really was a puzzle to try to find the right lineup combinations, and with our roster, sometimes, like, you got to be mindful of defensive matchups. We have some one-way, guys that lean more towards being one-way players than two-way players, and that then creates a construct of, how are we going to be able to negotiate this? And, I thought we did see some emerging chemistry between Cat and Ant in particular. I think, to be fair, like, we probably could have seen a little bit more chemistry between D'Lo and Cat at times. But we also made a conscious decision to play D'Lo more with the second unit, where he could be we could increase his usage, so that meant he would play. I think he played the most minutes without Cat and Ant, or without those three guys. He played the most by himself, so that was one of our goals too. So, that when you're separating them like that, you're not obviously going to be able to maximize all three together. So.
Said all series long playoffs expose where you need to improve, what
Yeah.
your strengths are, kind of along those lines with D'Lo. How do you kind of evaluate his fit, given the playoff series, but also given a body of work that he had during the regular season? How do you kind of weigh those two against each other?
Well, we still think the fit is great. His skill set, his playmaking, all that stuff hasn't changed. We just got to figure out maybe some different sets or structures that kind of accentuate those things too. One thing I felt I could have done a better job of trying to get him into the series a little bit more with some plays for him, maybe off the ball, because when he was on, and on the ball, he was drawing a pretty good amount of attention, and the way they were guarding him and stuff like that made it hard. So, looking back, I think that's one thing I could have done a better job at for him.
You and Sachin, the good relationship you guys have, and in the NBA, having that kind of relationship between the coaching staff and front office doesn't always happen.
Right.
In any conversations you may have with ownership or anything like that, how much do you try to make that point to them as it pertains to keeping him here for a while?
They know my feelings about Sach. They know that I think he's outstanding. I think he's been a huge reason that we have stability in this organization right now. He's very smart. We have complete alignment. The players love him. He's appropriate in his presence around the team. Is not heavy-handed with the coaching staff. He does his job. I'm a huge fan, and I've advocated for him to, have his opportunity to be the guy permanently to run this team. And nothing would make me happier than that. And it's no better time after this season to be able to continue to build. So.
Talked about how this roster leans kind of offense heavy. Really, Carl played pretty good defense this year, and has the capabilities to do that. Jaden is a good defender. Do you see a path, maybe not even this just one off season, but maybe that this roster could start to lean more towards defensively, and maybe that's the best path to success long term?
I absolutely do. I think those three guys that you mentioned, their growth, whether it be on offense or defense, is going to be our best path to move forward. We still think that there's offensive upside to Carl, but to your point, you can't win at the highest level unless you have a multitude of two-way players, and this is some of the things we're talking about habits and approach and how you maintain success and even build on it, is that you need guys to play. If Ant can play that type of defense in the playoffs, why can't he play that type of defense in February or October? And those are the demands that we are going to now continue to place on him. Jaden, is a two-way player by nature. And Cat, I think much has been talked about. How they were guarding him and what they decided to do with him this series, but I don't think he got enough credit for his defense and his rim protection, in particular in his pick and roll coverage this series. I mean, he still found a way to be highly impactful, even if he was only getting, 4 shots a night for a couple games. We were very pleased and proud of his defensive effort.
With those 3, assuming they're heavy minute guys for you moving forward, it just doesn't seem like you're that far away from getting to a point where you can roll out 5-man switch heavy lineups and be pretty comfortable with it.
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. And that's part of what we need to be able to do is, when you have when everybody on your team can guard their position and you're not trying to hide guys defensively, or if you do hide them, you're hiding them in a way where you're actually, benefiting from it because you're able to use their strengths in a different way. But you got to guard your position in this league, and in the playoffs, there's a multitude of really good players out there, and it's just hard when guys aren't able to do that. So
He's not the most talented guy on the roster, but Jordan McLaughlin probably plays your philosophy of offense better than anybody on the roster in terms of stimulating pace, ball movement, move without the ball, and was extremely successful in terms of plus minus net rating, whatever you want to talk about. Is that one of the keys to what you need to do offensively, is to have 5 guys on the same page in terms of that fast ball movement and movement without the ball, and the guy running the show that stimulates that?
yeah, we definitely need high impact, low usage guys. We have enough high usage guys, and sometimes they cannibalize each other's opportunities as a result. I think we saw that a little bit in our fourth quarter issues. J-Mac he's in many ways, to your point, prototype of that. He gets us up and into stuff quickly, and then where he could really do damage is as a secondary playmaker. When the ball comes back around to him, he makes one more play, one more drive and kick, one more drive and finish, or what have you. So I'm a huge J-Mac fan. He's proven to us that he is a bona fide, high impact, backup point guard for a really good team.
And to your conversation with Jace about defensive improvement, you think even if you have that defensive improvement from those 3 guys and you do run a really capable switch-heavy team, that you have the brawn and the sinew to basically handle people on a regular basis?
Sinew. Yeah. I know what that means. I know what that means.
I'm sure you don't know anything about what that means. Straight voltage, buddy.
Yeah. So when your steak is chewy, that's sinew, Yeah, I mean, we got, I'd love to have taken Ant out for a beer last night, but I can't. He's 20 years old. Jaden's just turned 21. I mean, Jaden spent all season working on his body and trying to get stronger. He says he feels stronger. It's just a matter of time till he just gets stronger and grows up. Some of that's just part of their natural growth and evolution as humans, not a lot of just players. But yeah.
But is he one of those guys you think is naturally going to put on 15 pounds? I mean, he worked really hard last summer and he gained like 5.
Yeah, but I mean, when I was 20, I weighed 195. Now I weigh 240. So I think there's hope. As you get older, you go put some weight on.
So how old does he have to be to get there?
Is he going on his Finch diet plan?
Well, I hope not. Listen, we don't want him to be super bulky. It's just, we talked about it before. It's man strength. It's just, it's a different type. As you grow up, you just get a bit stronger naturally, a little bit denser. So.
Would you prefer less minutes at the 4? I mean, he did split those minutes.
Yeah.
He got better at the 4 as the season went on. That's still.
Yeah.
Can that be natural for him?
At the 4?
Yeah.
Offensively, for sure. It all comes down, as what I think you're able to guard in this league. He's probably better guarding 1 through 3 and some 4s. But having said that, he did a great job on Julius Randle this season. It was one of the most physical offensive players in our league, a total hit first guy. He had him, kind of boxed up at times. So what we love about him is competitiveness. So yeah, he might run out of sinew at times, but he is, he's got that, kind of anger and determination and that we love. So, yeah, I go back and forth of whether he's a 3 or he's a 4. In the modern game, I don't know, what is Jaylen Brown? Like, I don't know, like, what are these guys? Like, their ability to guard multiple positions is really the key to their success, so.
I was going to ask about what position he played before all the steak talk, too. But I guess kind of along those lines, when you did have 5 players on the floor, where you felt, you could go 5 out, that could be shooting. Was that valuable because you still had the number 1 offense without always having 5 shooters on the floor in that whole end of the season? So I guess my question is, do you need to have 5 shooters on the floor?
No, not at all. Not at all. There's the number 1 offense. Obviously, if you make shots at a really high level, you're gonna have a great offense. But I think Memphis is a great case study. Like, they play with 2 bigs. They don't have a ton of reliable shooting. They have some really good shooters, but they live in transition. They live on the offensive glass, and they live at your rim. And those are the things that really drive efficient offense, So if you can do all that with great shooting, then, obviously you're building towards something special.
Did you think that so many of the markers of your team, statistical rankings and stuff, and style would be so similar to Nick and what Toronto did this season?
Nah, not really. I never thought much about it, so I don't even know in which ways we would be similar. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, knowing Nick as well as I do and just having been with him, I mean, obviously they use their defense to create a lot of turnovers, to be out in transition, with a lot of multi-positional guys handling and just kind of coming at you. We both were raised in the world of the more possessions you generate, the better off it is, no matter how you do it. And you can do it all different ways. Turnovers, transition, and offensive rebounding are the 3 most obvious ones.
Chris, obviously it was a historic playoff run for Ant, given his age and his production. And Carl said he did a lot of that without thinking, just playing. And that Carl's excited to see how Ant can grow with thinking the game in the half court and kind of reading things live as it happens.
Yeah.
In that department, what are you most excited for Ant to add to his game, to build on?
Well, I think that's almost exactly the conversation that we just had with Ant too, about how huge this summer was, being able to learn from what he just went through, and how we can process those different looks, and learning how to be a closer. It's not always about trying to make the big play. It's way more about making the right play at the right time. What I'm excited for about Ant's summer is just trying to help him kind of round out his game. He's really, really good at a few things right now, and he just needs a plan, a little bit better plan of how to get there. Like, he's a great rim attacker. His finishing needs to be a little better. But even, like, understanding how to attack the rim and when and where and how he's leaving money on the table, be it in transition or turning corners or changing speeds or using different types of finishing, like, those are all things that I think can help him grow leaps and bounds and be better at what he's already good at. Like, I don't think it's a thing with Ant where we want him to go away and just add a bunch of stuff to his game right now. I think we need him to round out some of the things that he's good at. Like, the shooting coming into this season, we were unsure how real it was. I mean, it's real. He's going to be a good shooter in this league. His catch and shoot numbers are very high. His dribble jumper numbers are actually surprisingly higher than you might think. It's just he still takes hard ones, and it's a luxury to be able to create your own shot and get a pretty good look. That's part of, like, being a closer or being a guy like him. It's a benefit for us, but understanding when to use that and when not, when to kind of put the defense in a position where they got to put 2 on you. So these are all things that he's excited to learn and process too. Yeah.
Does Carl have to perfect passing out of the double in the post to reopen post scoring as a major source of offense?
Yeah, good question. Like, I think, he wants to kind of make, I think sometimes he wants to make the next play before he makes the first play in the post. He knows where the ball's going to end up. He's trying to shortcut it a little bit oftentimes. I think at times we gave him mixed messages too, like we're saying go quick because we wanted him to be aggressive, but then teams started doubling so fast that he couldn't go quick, and so he get himself all kind of off kilter. But yeah, he's got to do a better job, and we got to do a better job of kind of being structured around him a little bit more consistently. And one of the things with our offense is it's so fluid that different guys may be at different spots at any given time when the ball gets to him. And then there's just a lag time on some of the cuts and reads that we have to make. So we got to do a way better job of helping him that way. Some teams, and we're seeing it more and more, they're just not going to let him, beat him in the post. They're just not, So to open up post scoring for him, things that we need to do are, I think, obviously, that's a situation where you put as much shooting as you possibly can around him, or we got to find him in transition. Like he got to get out and run for some early post up opportunities before they can bring help, and maybe some misdirection stuff. But ultimately, teams now know. I don't care whether it's they don't see a ton of posting up, and guys that do post up can score at a pretty high level. So teams are really committed to taking that away right now, especially if you give them non-shooting on the floor. They're definitely coming.
Just watching Embiid, Jokic playoff, but they actually aren't doubled as aggressively as Carl is.
Yeah.
Just because other teams are just scared that those teams will make them pay more, or if that's the way to make them double pounds less.
Yeah, I think they just I do know what you're saying. I think we got to do a better job of probably using it against teams, a little bit more purposeful than although, I watched them turn it over too, So, but it's not something, I mean, in the league 20 years ago, you saw it all the time. Every player was very comfortable passing out of the post against doubles. I mean, just having Greg Monroe in here was like, oh yeah, you do X, Y, and Z, and so, I mean, he had seen it many times. All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.